Hello, friends. It's a week away from the big day, but Christmas starts here. Welcome to the Kings of Anglia Christmas special podcast. Clearly, we were hoping to do this in a live scenario, actually, with you all on Saturday, but that had to be postponed for reasons out of our hands. So we thought we'd give you a virtual one to make up for it. And you can see already that Christmas has started in the Heath household. I am drinking a beer because, as I say, it's only a week away from the big day, and I'm looking forward to getting stuck in some Ipswich Town chat tonight. Mark Heath here with you. I'm joined by two of Santa's little helpers. First of all, Alex. You'd be the elf, I think, Alex, being as you're quite diminutive and quite sort of cheeky as well.
Okay.
How are you, old friend?
I'm good. Yeah, I haven't got any alcohol tonight because otherwise I fear I'd probably be like running to the toilet and back during it. It might be a problem. But I'm all good. I've gone festive. I know it's green, but I've gone with the hoodie, the Simpsons hoodie with Homer backing into the hedge. I had to get changed because I came back from the gym and managed to cover my t-shirt in mud. So there you go. That was also part of the thinking. So there you go. My outfit for tonight.
It's the Jones household. If anyone's been watching this and listening to this pod for a while, they'll know that around any holiday, the Jones household tends to get filled with tat. Is there lots of Christmas tat around upstairs?
Yes and no. We are the only household with any lights on basically at all, like outside or anything like that. Our Christmas tree is very depressing. It's like a tiny little one. The only photo that I ever took is it stood next to a vacuum cleaner, which I think kind of summed up what state the house is in at the moment. But yes, we're kind of mid-tier Christmas tat. I think that we, for some reason, have gone bigger on Halloween, to be perfectly honest. But there's still time. We're only the 18th.
Only 18th, but it's basically Christmas tomorrow. Stu, I don't know if AJ is an elf. I don't know what you'd be in terms of Santa's little helper. You're quite serious. You'd be sort of the I guess the toy room coordinator.
yeah, like the head elf, like in the movie Elf, like the old elf dude, just sort of walking around with a clipboard and making sure everything's running like clockwork.
Dishing out bollockings for people who have not made enough toys. You will notice, of course, friends, we are missing the third of Santa's little helpers tonight, Rossi, who hopefully will turn up at some point in fitting right on brand Rossi style. Having had his computer explode earlier this week and only just get that replaced, he now has a leak in his kitchen, and that's not a euphemism. He's getting his sink sorted as we speak, so hopefully he's going to appear at some point, friends. But until then, we shall carry the show. Ross, of course, is the most like Santa of any of us. In 40 years, he will look pretty much exactly like Santa, I'd imagine, with that lovely beard. Anyway, boys, tonight we're going to talk about Ipswich Town. Clearly, we're going to start off with talking about what we've made of the season so far, and what we've liked, what we haven't liked. Then we're going to look ahead to the January transfer window. A few early thoughts on that. We're going to take loads of your questions. There will be an official mailbag section, so please, in terms of questions, restrain until that point, because otherwise we'll lose them all. And I'll flash up comments as we go along, and obviously we'll finish with Sheffield Wednesday, a little preview there, and our predictions. And then I'm going to ask the boys one final big question before we let you crack on with your evening. So without further ado, then, boys, I'm going to start with you, Alex, because you went on the pod earlier this week, where me and Stu basically had a bit of group therapy, basically just me and Stu talking pretty much at each other about the state of town for 50 minutes or so. I'm going to ask you though, AJ. Season so far, Ipswich Town are 5th in the table. They are, you would say, it looks like, going to be at least in the playoff mix in what's thus far looking a fairly average championship. Can you give me 3 words, please, for your thoughts on the season so far? Now, friends watching on, please get involved with this. I want your 3 words as well. I'm going to ask the boys. Kick us off, though, AJ. What 3 words would you say sum up the season so far?
You can't limit me to 3 words. Come on.
I can, because I'm in charge. I am Santa.
Oh, I need more than that. I've gone with the 3 U's at the moment. Number 1, unsettled. Number 2, unfulfilled. And number 3, unsure, which I think kind of sums it up at the moment. And we've been talking a bit about glass half full, glass half empty. And all of the comments that I've seen have been pretty much split 50-50. In terms of how people are feeling, and I think that sums it up: unsettled, unfulfilled, unsure. That's the 3 that I've come up with, along with a load of others that I scribbled out underneath.
That's my approach to life. All of those. Got Mike Baker here saying Town need to pull their finger out with like a mid-table team at best, and David Martin Evening, guys. Just a quick question. Would be interested to know your predictions on where Town will finish. We'll do that right at the end of the show. I think, David, he's saying my prediction is 6th, which of course is in the playoffs. Stewie, do you have 3 words for me?
How about rotation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Little play on words for that one, but I would go yet to inspire.
Yet to inspire. Yeah. We thanks for your comments. Keep them coming. It's great you've chosen to spend your Thursday evening with us. I know clearly this is a busy time of year for people. AJ, given how excited we were ahead of the season kicking off, and how clearly expectations are much higher than last time they were in Championship, and rightly so. They spent a lot of money. They've just been in the Premier League. They've got a very high level team for this level, and yet, as you both have just said, they've really yet to ignite. How would you assess in terms of how you're feeling about things at the moment? We've had the glass half full, glass half empty chat, of course. How would you describe your feelings about things at the moment?
I'm more onto the half full side, and that's, to be honest, it kind of stems from things before this season, and I think that it's quite easy to do that, where you look at, okay, it's been a frustrating season given the expectations and the money spent, but kind of looking at things, and I know people roll their eyes at McKenna and what Mark Ashton's done and the progress that's been made, things like that. It's difficult for me to be glass half empty at this stage, I would say. And we've seen flashes, haven't we? I mean, the other sentences that I had down, or the 3-word ones, I had flashes without fluency and talent without cohesion. And those are the kind of summaries of the season that I think work quite well, where we've seen Ipswich do good things. We've seen them win games. We've seen them perform well. We've seen the 15-20 million pound players do really good things, but actually doing it consistently to stay towards the top of the division has not been possible, and they are not doing the things that the very best teams in this division can do, like Leeds did last year and Burnley did, Town did the season before, and Leicester did the season before, and teams like that. So that's where the frustration is. It feels like it can all click into place, and it should all click into place, and the frustration comes from the fact that it just isn't happening, and what that's going to take to happen. Will it be January? Will it be McKenna changing something tactically? Is it a change of approach, of mindset? I'm not really sure. It almost makes it more agonizing in my eyes, the fact that it feels like there are positives and they are so close. If we could just be like, oh, they're rubbish, done, then that would be quite easy, wouldn't it? But the fact that we are seeing things and it feels like they're so close but so far almost hurts more.
Stu, as I'm flashing these 3-word summations of the season so far up, are you surprised by how I would say most of them, in fact, all of them, I would say so far have been pretty negative. We've had not good enough here from Dino, far too comfortable from the Great Wall, Ian Wallbank, lack of hunger I'm getting. Where else have we got? Subs too late from Jobster, which is clearly something we've discussed. And this is harsh, I think, from Martin, but it's how you feel, Martin. Please share it with us. Dull, slow and boring. Stu, can you relate to any of those 3-word summations?
Yeah, I guess that feeds into, I've said yet to inspire, and I think the underlying frustration has been almost win, lose or draw. The performances have not really set the pulses racing at times. You can think about the 2-0 win at Hull, for example, the 1-0 win against West Brom at home. There's others that fall into that mix. Even when they've won games, it's been a bit like, job done. Can't say much more than that. So yeah, I think those comments are all fair. I wrote the piece earlier this week, sort of detailing the arguments for the positives, the reasons for optimism and the reasons for negativity. And if I'm honest with you, I could probably make a passionate argument both ways. And ultimately that leaves me pretty unsure about where we go from here. And I think that's backed up by, I know a lot of the comments coming in here are on the more negative side, but on social media and on the comments on our story earlier in the week, it was pretty split. There was a lot of people saying come on, we're fifth and we're not even playing that well. And that's a good sign. And look at the bigger picture of where the club's at and where it's been. And then on the flip side, a lot of the comments that are coming in now in terms of, I get the fearfulness of, if this doesn't go right this season in what is looking like a pretty average championship season, then there's a whole heap of pressure on next year. The final year of parachute payments, you only get 2, and it's a different division next year. And all of a sudden, forget about it's great what's happened before. This is the here and now. This is where Ipswich have got themselves to. There's an opportunity now to progress as a football club, and it's potentially only a small window of time to kind of capitalise on that. And I think where people are fearful of is, have they done enough to capitalise on the promotion and all the money that came with it? And we're still not quite sure, are we? We're really not sure.
No, and what is there, 2 games until halfway point? I put a poll out on the KOA Twitter yesterday, or this morning actually, just asking that very same question: is your Ipswich Town glass half full or half empty? 57% half full. So it is really, really close, you'd say, in terms of people feeling positive and negative. Let's have a look at a couple more of these comments here. We've got work in progress from Chappers, who I think is the Chappers who's joining us from Mexico City tonight. I don't know what time it is in Mexico City, Chappers, but thanks for joining us. Warm and cold we've got here from Steve Barnard, Swan, Matt Towns 19. Slow, dull football, he goes on to add. We're fifth, but we're playing really boring football at times. Kian Leathers says few flashes of quality, but not convinced it's knitting together. AJ, in terms of the style of football and it being slow and boring, I mean, they've scored a lot of goals, and we have also said quite a lot in this very podcast that their build-up play is too slow and ponderous, particularly in the final third. Is that something that you remain concerned about?
Merry Christmas, everyone. Positive vibes. Yeah, it is. I think in terms of looking at the goal total, and you can probably pull this argument up with a few teams as well, and Coventry maybe one of them. I mean, 5 of them were scored against Sheffield United, 4 of them were scored against Swansea, 4 at QPR. So it's not like they're maybe as spread out. Maybe when you can look at that number as a whole, it's it can maybe be a little bit deceiving in a way where when you look at the style, yeah, I can understand a lot of those frustrations and a lot of the comments. I think that stylistically, Ipswich don't really know where they are at the moment, and we've seen little swings of going certain ways, and we didn't have these kind of stylistic questions, I think, as much at the start of the season. And the big turning point for me was that Charlton defeat, the 3-0, where they said, right, well, let's go back to basics. And since then, and maybe the game against West Brom, for example, which is kind of highlighted as one of those boring performances, we've seen a more solid base to Ipswich to make sure that they don't concede stupid goals like they did against Charlton and against Borough. And you didn't have the defenders playing on the halfway line and some slightly kamikaze football at times. But then you're jeopardising what you're doing going forward. And there's a lack of pace in this team, I find, as well. That's maybe one of the glaring issues that you find when you've got everyone in the crowd chanting forward, run, speed, quick, get going. And they're lacking that. They're lacking a pacey wide man in the team to help with that. So I think that there is a bit of an identity crisis with Ipswich at the moment, where they're caught in between wanting to be exciting, attacking, front foot, play out from the back, all of those things, and also being quite cautious to not concede stupid goals, to make sure they're watertight at the back. Being quite direct at times is something that we found. Like, how many times have we seen O'Shea being the number one creator in the team with long balls forward from the back? And the answer has to be somewhere in the middle. You have to be able to defend solidly and do that side while also then having the attacking play. And this team at the moment doesn't seem to be able to put those two together. To me, it feels like it's one or the other.
I'm going to ask you both for things, one thing you've liked and one thing you haven't liked so far this season, limit you to one each. But before we get to that, Stewie, your 3 words were rotation, rotation, rotation. Do you think that really has been the main kind of narrative, the main story of the season thus far?
Sorry, it just glitched out there. I don't know if you heard But that it sort of had audio playing over audio. That's why I got a bit distracted. What was the question, Mark? Sorry.
I was saying before we get to the things you've liked and things you haven't liked thus far, your 3 words were rotation, rotation, rotation. Do you think that's the kind of the main narrative, the main storyline from the season thus far?
I guess all roads lead back to that in some ways. You know, Alex has just talked about the big narrative around the season, and we've touched upon it in our 3 words. It's kind of a collection of individuals at the moment. It isn't a team coming together. There's a lack of chemistry and partnerships. And rotation certainly has played a big part in that. And that's been and then that all feeds back to recruitment and the way the squad's been built with sort of 2 like-for-like, inverted commas, quality players in each position. And again, it all feeds back to what they did last time in this division and the band of brothers and a team that named itself and all the rest of it. So, rotation and recruitment are probably the 2 biggest factors, the 2 R's that have fed into a team that is yet to look like a team.
Okay. Clearly a lot of the comments we're getting are quite negative, and that's understandable given the I guess the underwhelming start to the season. Can't even call it the start to the season now, can we? Because we're pretty much halfway through. But I want to get some positivity in now, boys. I'm going to ask you both for something you've liked thus far from Ipswich Town. The answer cannot be Jayden Philogene. I suppose it could be if you really need it. AJ, tell me something you've liked about the season to this point. Are you going to say Jayden Philogene?
I really wish you told us you were doing this before we went live, so I could have had some time to think.
I think it was on your plan, my friend, that I WhatsApped
was it on there?
Someone's not been preparing properly, have they?
Someone's not prepared properly. No. I'll just kind of wing it. Things I have liked. I'm going to do a cheat one and a proper one. The cheat one is they beat Norwich. That's my cheat one.
I mean, that's fair.
My proper one, off the top of my head, scrambling to it, I'm going to say Christian Walton as a left field one. And that is because teams can be totally thrown off when they lose their goalkeeper. I think that it is, it sounds a bit stupid, but such an instrumental part of a team that goes under the radar. And when you have someone that you know plays week in, week out, taking them out of the team can unsettle a back line, can unsettle the team. It's obviously saves, but it's also the distribution and the playing out from the back angle. And Christian Walton's been a big positive for me because he makes really good saves. Because he seems settled in that back line and we've kept the consistency and the cohesiveness. You could argue he's performed better than Alex Palmer this season. And that's why he's kept his place, let's be honest. And we all love Christian Walton as well. And I think we've all been really keen to see Christian Walton get a run in the team that he's not had in such a long time because of injuries and because of the forms of other goalkeepers at certain times. So I'm really happy for him. I'm really happy that it's working for Ipswich to have him as the number 1 at the moment. That's one of my big positives because they could have really crumbled after losing a number 1 like Alex Palmer.
Yeah, we've had Matt Towns on again saying Cedric Kiefer. You'd certainly say he's been a bright spot to the start. Clearly, at the moment, it appears like he is now the starter alongside Dara O'Shea. Bit of positivity as well, like from Mario, saying still think we'll go up top 2. January will make the difference. And of course, in the League One promotion season, that was the key in terms of supercharging the promotion push. Stu, so Alex has said that Christian Walton, someone I don't think any of us really expected to be talking about. How about you? Give us something you've liked thus far.
The one I've got written down in preparation was they beat Norwich. It has to be, doesn't it?
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take that away from you.
And isn't it weird that is something we've waited so long for, 16 plus years, and it's almost kind of been forgotten about already. It's almost, we beat them, shrug of the shoulders. You know, it wasn't that long ago, and that was a big deal, and everything that came with that day as well, with Nunez celebrating wildly at the end, and that it has been part of this season. It's easy to forget.
Yeah.
And some of those big scorelines that Alex has mentioned, 5 past Sheffield United, a couple of 4-1 wins on the road. It's not all been bad this season, and it's important to remember that. The other thing I've got on my list is it kind of feeds into Philogene because he scored most of them, but we've had some great goals to feast our eyes upon as well, haven't we? Some real goal of the season contenders, mainly from Philogene. Davis volley at Oxford is up for an award, albeit that's in a defeat, so that takes a bit of shine off of it. But we've seen some good goals.
Go on then, Stu. That begs the question: what's been the best goal so far? Is it Philogene in the derby? I suppose it has to be, does it?
Yeah, I think putting context into it as well of who it was against and the timing of it and everything. So-called weaker foot. Has to be Philogene.
He doesn't have a weaker foot, does he? AJ, all right then. So we've got a bit of positives there. Christian Walton, some great goals, beating Norwich. Who would have thought we'd be sat here saying they've beaten Norwich and
beat top of the table 3-0 a fortnight ago as well.
Yeah, it's been a funny old season, isn't it? It really has when you look at it like that. AJ, okay, right. Back to the negatives. One thing you haven't liked, if you can narrow it down.
If I can narrow it down, I've got two. I'll narrow it down to one. Squad building. For me, I have not liked the squad building. I was a little bit confused over the summer, but thought, you know what, there's a plan here, and we have to back also what we've seen before with a lot of signings really hitting the mark. But some of it was confusing at the time, and still feels confusing now. They've ended up with 4 right backs, no left back cover, no natural cover for Matasiwa. I don't want to kind of twist the knife in, but I still don't really understand Casey McAteer and the signing that he was. I didn't really feel it at the time. I think the kind of the vibes around him at the time were quite negative, and it hasn't really improved. Let's be honest. Tube Rakpon probably falls into that same kind of boat. When you take a step back and look at the squad as a whole, it feels a little bit muddled. And I think that leaves them in a tricky place going into January. And I know we'll talk about January in a minute, but when I look at the areas they want to recruit, it feels difficult because they need to add depth and quality. And there's certain areas that are quite easy, but in other parts, it becomes a lot trickier to figure out where they need to spend the money. And I think that the summer has let them down in some key ways.
Yeah, I suppose a reflection of maybe where we're sitting just now, that 2 of the comments in terms of positives about the pies.
Not had a tingly Ted yet, have you?
No, I'd love to have one. I mean,
I've not seen them sold yet.
So this is coming from Kian and Chris, both bigging up the pies. Another one here from Harry, who says the third kit is a thing of beauty. And right now, of course, you can win a signed Yes Watson. Almost as if we planned it.
Right on cue.
God, we're good. There we go. A signed, not Darwin Núñez. Stop saying that, Heath. Marcelino Núñez shirt. You can now enter the competition if you're a subscriber on our website, and you can.
Do you remember FPL from last season with Darwin Núñez?
Yes. Let's not bring that up. Stewie, all right. Negatives then. AJ says squad building, and there's no doubt about it. That would have to be a surprise. I mean, in terms of the previous, what we've seen under Ashton and co. It's been pretty much flawless, hasn't it? But certainly this summer was a bit chaotic and does seem to have left the squad imbalanced. And of course, they've got a chance to address that in January, which we're going to come on to in a minute. But what would you say in terms of something you've not liked so far?
Well, just to pick up on the squad building side of things first, I do think they've got themselves into a bit of a muddle at times. As one of the commenters put early, they had a long time to prepare for this season, really from January onwards, whenever the Southampton game was. The writing was on the wall, going back to the Championship, had time to get their ducks in a row. And I know it's not always easy in football and you have to wait for dominoes to fall, but for all the business to have happened so late in the window was far from ideal. Could the Hutchinson and Broadhead situations been dealt with earlier? I think so. Looking at, they unfolded quite publicly. Chaplin sort of starting against Derby and then going like 2 days later on deadline day, and the Wolfenden situation dragging on. It all felt like a bit of a muddle, really. And now time is a bit of an enemy, easy for me to say. And they're playing catch up a little bit, and the pressure's on because of that. And could some of that have been avoided? Probably. I think in terms of kind of thinking about how the squad came together, I still think like the Philogene signing, and we're talking about Philogene being top goal scorer at the moment and starting to look really good. But was that the best way to spend £20 million back in January when you had Jack Clark? You knew you were heading to the Championship at that stage. You've now ended up with your 2 best players in terms of goal output this season, both playing in the same position. They've tried to find ways to get them in the same team. It's not worked. The knock-on effect is it's blunted your most creative player in Leif Davis. All those assists last time in the Championship, one so far. It's not really working with him trying to sort of play a bit more inverted. The whole balance of it has kind of been knocked off, and have Ipswich sort of grabbed at Championship names rather than thought about the attributes they need and which areas of the squad they need to build. Possibly, that's my fear at this moment in time. In terms of negatives for me, easy one: Blackburn away, brackets twice.
Ouch. Yeah, that was bad. Let me ask you this, Stu, because we're talking about squad building, and it's a good point, and they're linked here. Kian Leathers again says, "Is McAteer the worst Town panic buy ever?" Now, I live with a Leicester fan, and when I told her that Town had spent 11.5 million on Casey McAteer, she just broke down laughing. She thought that was a joke. She said, "No, surely 5 million." No, 11.5. And this goes with it from Matt. Says the Ogbeni thing, I don't imagine that was planned. So we said, you both there said that they lack pace. You know, obviously the Wes Burns role, the right wing role, clearly he's not ready to go. And I think he always is missed when he's not in the team. But they had, in Ogbene, they had this guy who fits that profile. And they shipped him out, and they brought in Casey McAteer to replace him. Looking back on that now, AJ, do you think that was a mistake?
Yeah. Yeah, basically, yeah, it was. At least that's how I saw it. And I thought it was odd at the time, to be honest, where I think we were all surprised. I think it was in a post-match press conference where Kieran McKenna revealed that they were looking at sending Chio out on loan, I think, at the time as well. Even though Sheffield United was struggling, it felt weird to send them to a team that still felt like they were going to be a promotion rival, and still could be as well. He was signed for a reason, which was kind of to be competition for Wes Burns, in that they're very similar players. They've got pace, they've got the physicality, they've got all those kind of elements. They can almost play in the wing-backy role when you turn into a back five, as McKenna systems have done in the past. And it felt ready-made for him to at least have a part to play. I'm not saying he was always going to be like the nailed-on starter in that role, having come back from a nasty Achilles injury. And I know he's also had some knocks while being out on loan, but that felt odd to me. On McAteer, as I said, it didn't feel like the right move at the time. And I don't want to jump onto this because there's every chance that he has one that goes in off his backside next month, and all of a sudden in the second half of the season he scores 5 goals, he puts in some good performances. I don't want to jump the gun. Can I see that happening at this stage? Probably not. And the right wing position is probably going to be an interesting one going into January. Maybe they could look to add something there, but then they've also got Wes Burns coming back. This is what I mean in terms of being a little bit muddled in a way. And I know he's not a pacey player, and I know Stu will roll his eyes because I mention him all the time. I still don't know why they didn't go and get Tom Fellows for £4 million odd less, given what he's been able to do at Southampton. But yeah, the long story short, as my doorbell goes in the background, I sorry about that. Yeah, I do think
very late for a caller, if you don't mind me saying.
It's probably every coming and throwing a package at the door. I do think it was a mistake to do that.
Okay.
The only thing I'd say on Ogbena is we'll never know what he could have been for Ipswich. Maybe there's still time, but he ticked all the boxes in terms of Wes Burns has been brilliant in this straight line speedster role as a right winger for Ipswich Town. They get themselves to the Premier League. You've got to try and start upgrading in different areas. Yeah. Ogbene was meant to be the upgrade on Wes Burns, and then the Achilles injury robs him of the chance to go and prove that. Character-wise, he's a fantastic fit for the culture of Ipswich as well. I think, from what Ipswich fans have seen of him as a personality, they've fallen in love with him. But he's gone to Sheffield United, and I believe he's out injured again now. And there's talk about them looking at negotiating the loan being cut in January. So I think that kind of backs up that Ipswich couldn't, there was a world where Ipswich stuck with Ogbene. He gets an injury setback and everyone goes, well, that was remiss of you not to try and sort that situation out as well. So I haven't necessarily got an issue with them sending him out to try and get some fitness elsewhere and bring someone else in. Has McAteer been a miss so far? No doubt about it. How many games has he actually started? It's a smallish sample size still. I can see his raw physical attributes in terms of he's a good size, 7 starts. And it's hard to think of anything that's jumped off the page from him so far, but he's 24, and I'm just always really mindful, bearing in mind he's spoken publicly about he's found it difficult, first move away from his boyhood club, etc. I'm always really mindful as we're speaking about young men, human beings, and it's not quite happened for him so far. I'm still not writing him off by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not helped him hit the ground running when there's just been so much change around the team as well, I would say.
Yeah, you're dead on there, Stu, in terms of McAteer and not writing him off. I mean, let's not forget, not too long ago, Jaden Philogene, we were talking about being, 20 million. He's not shown anything, and now look what he's doing. So
I agree with that, but also one of the things that confuses me is that he's not even coming on the pitch half the time. They're making changes on the right, be it from the start or on the bench, and you haven't had Sindra playing, and they've ended up playing Jack Clark instead, and they preferred to go with Jack Clark, who we've seen play on the right a few times this season, and I think it's been pretty bad every single time he's done it. And I keep going back to it. I remember asking McKenna about this after Preston, and he said the balance of the attack was off. And still, we're in a point where we prefer to have Jack Clark on the right rather than bringing McAteer on. You look at before there's cameo against Leicester, where he got that lovely shiner that I saw him pointing to in a video this afternoon. He was an unused sub at home Stoke, an unused sub in that Coventry game when the right side was changed in both of those games. 6 minutes off the bench against Oxford. He doesn't feel like they've really got the trust in him at the moment.
This just in from Jeff, just says absolute bloody rubbish. I assume that's passing comment on the quality of the show thus far, Jeff. We'll try and improve for you. Right, let's move towards January, shall we? A couple of questions we've had in which lead us down that alleyway. Alley Cat Stu says, how much involvement does McKenna have in the signings? Is he responsible, or is he a victim of poor recruitment? Now, I remember when you boys were both off on a press conference day, I went to talk to him. I think it was the week before the window shut, and he talked about there being more change than he expected, and it being very difficult. And as a manager, wanting to be able to plan with what you've got. So, how would you respond to that? Do you think, Stu? Is it possible that McKenna himself has been kind of let down on that side of things?
I don't think so. No, a manager's never going to come out publicly and throw his superiors under the bus and say, I don't have anything to do with signings at all. But I think we would get a sense there would be a sense that signings are made on data and from above. You only have to look at the nature of the signings. How many of them have been players that have done well against Ipswich in previous games, or certainly done well in the division that Ipswich have been in before? A big part of the reluctance to go down the foreign market up until the last window or two has been led by Kieran McKenna, that he feels that you have to have everything in place off the pitch to enable foreign players to settle and find their feet, and he didn't feel that was the case, so he wanted to stick with the domestic market that he knows. So no, I don't think there's any sense that these haven't been Kieran McKenna signings at all. It'd be interesting to do a breakdown of every signing that's been made during the kind of McKenna era and work out the percentage of hits to misses. I still think there'd be more hits than misses. So far, it's pretty split, even probably from last summer, isn't it? Off the top of our head, we're talking about McAteer being a miss. There's probably a fair chunk that are on the fence, still not sure about at the moment, but Furlong's been pretty solid at right back. Matassi was grown into the season. Sindra's showing a little bit and signs of growth in him. So it hasn't all been a disaster. And I just think the nature of recruitment is you're not going to get them all right. Not even the best clubs in the land do.
Absolutely. I mean, look at Demolition Man Summer and how many of those. I mean, clearly there were a lot of really good signings in that, but equally a lot that kind of faded away. Right, I'm going to ask you this question, AJ, to kick off the January chat. It comes from someone who I'm fascinated by because of their handle. Bullies Bulldogs. Bully, does that mean you have bulldogs? Can we talk about bulldogs? Tell me more about your bulldog. Send me a picture of your bulldog, Bully, if you could. And then I suppose we should do the question. If we recruit in January, who leaves? So let's get deep into this January chat then, AJ. Town are going to have to get rid of people as well. Who do you think is on the bubble in terms of January departures? 4
off the bat. Elkan Baggott, Harry Clark, Ben Johnson, Cameron Humphreys, brackets loan. There's no guarantee that the other 3 would all be permanents. I think it's kind of quite widely understood that Ben Johnson had something in the pipeline to leave over the summer. He just is not playing. He's hardly making the squad. He won the Conference League with West Ham. Has hardly played outside of the Premier League at all. Only this season's the first time he's dropped out of it. Started the season with Town and now, finds himself out of the picture. He's not going to be happy with that in the slightest. He doesn't fit McKenna's plans. He's going to be on quite a high wage. Move him on. I really like Harry Clark. I don't want him to go permanently because of a lot of the kind of the links, and obviously he's an Ipswich boy. He's gone on and achieved so much. But again, not in the picture, coming back from an injury. If nothing else, needs half a season of trying to build up some regular minutes somewhere else in the Championship or Scotland or wherever. Elkan Baggott's an obvious one because I know you need centre-back cover, but he's not getting the look in at the moment and must be frustrated. So at least, again, get him out on loan. And then going to Cam. Yeah, I think that it's quite clear that even with absentees kind of in that attacking area or even deeper in midfield, he's not really getting the opportunity. He's a talent. He's a really good player. We've seen that. We've seen it out on loan. What's the next step for him? Is it going back to the top end of League One? Is it somewhere else in the Championship? They're always really careful with Cam in terms of has to be a stylistic fit, 100%. But I don't think that it makes sense for him to be playing in the 21s and having, minutes in the FA Cup and things like that going into next season. He needs to go play regular football somewhere.
Okay. We've had a few more thoughts here from, where are we? Ian, I think, saying loan out Harry Clark. He says, recall the man who plays 10 in our system better than everybody else. I assume he's talking about Connor Chaplin, who's not really been pulling up any trees at Portsmouth, if you listen to Portsmouth fans. Loan Harry Clark out, McAteer and Baggott out. Sell Johnson, send Azon and Akpom back. Interesting. What have we got here from Rodney Marshall? Can loan signings be cut short? Azon and Kayusta. Who would have thought we'd be talking about Jens being sent back? Stu, have you got any thoughts in terms of exits further and above what Alex has just said?
No, I think there's 2 right backs mentioned in there. Obviously, 4 in the building. That's too many. Ben Johnson has been a bit of a puzzle to me. He's been brought in as someone who's played right back all his career, and Kieran McKenna's barely touched him in that position. Most of his minutes in the Premier League came further forwards as pretty much as a winger at times. I kind of thought going into this season, the first time he's ever dropped as low as the Championship, he might be one that could step in for Axel Tuanzebe, and Ipswich might, as a team that was going to be a front foot attacking team in the division, go with 2 kind of marauding fullbacks, as they did in the, with Harry Clark and Davis in the first half of that. But for whatever reason, he hasn't been trusted. I think wanting to move him on and being able to move him on might be 2 different questions. He'll be on a decent wage, and I don't know if people will be queuing up to match that, and it's up to him whether he wants to take a pay cut to play football or hang about for a bit longer. We'll have to see. Harry Clark, for me, is still a loan out at this stage, and keep your options open because Ashley Young more than likely retires at the end of the season. If Johnson moves on, I think the situation changes for Harry Clark a little bit. So there's a chance to trim. It's a 1-in, 1-out situation because they're at the max 25-man squad numbers. So there's some easy routes there that Alex has mentioned to free up a bit of space. The bigger question is, what do they do with those with those spaces, and how much do they want to do? If they want to do more than 4, are we in the territory of what some people are saying there? Will they look to cut short a loan or 2? I can't see it with the ends necessarily. As on, depends if they go out and sign a striker, I guess. But again, I can't see that being cut short. It's going to be fascinating to see how much. 4 has been the magic number in the last 3 transfer windows. It's been 4 signings in January. Mark Ashton has spoken this week about, we like player trading, and we will definitely be active again in January. Gut feeling is it will be probably around that number again. 4 players in, I would say.
I can't. Speaking honestly, I can't be asked with the January window. Just loads of work for us, isn't it? Can't wait till January's over. Matt Town said, I don't get spoken enough how important Axel was to our team. And this brings me on to someone who's also an important member of our team, who's just appeared in the virtual green room. In true Rossi style, Calamity Ross. Bring yourself in, Ross.
We're going to introduce him as a 41st minute sub to inject some energy off the bench.
Pace, energy, and mispronunciations. That's what we need right now. So let's get Ross in. Yes, Ross, how are you? Have you got running water?
Yes, I do. I can do.
You can wash yourself.
Yeah, and do the other bits.
I hadn't even thought about that when you mentioned that earlier. Oh, that's probably the most important thing. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I had to nip out to do.
Where did you nip out to? The back garden.
Just buried it in the garden.
You got really feral.
No, I just went to the McDonald's at Cardinal Park.
Oh, you lucky people. You were in there at the same time. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Do you remember, boys, when we went to the Pod Awards and the in Manchester? Was it Manchester and one of the toilets worked? The entire, basically, it smelled bad. Let's be honest. Anyway, Ross, I'm digressing. Is it fixed? Are you happy?
Yes. It was just the fridge. We had to get the fridge back in, which is a pain in the arse to make it level. Yeah, shout out to Joe, who's my good plumber friend. Handsome man enters. Wow. Ali Cat 2144. Thank you very much.
Ali Cat needs your eyes tested. Should have gone to Specsavers.
Yeah. But no, it's all good. It's all fixed. The stress is gone. But you just wanted to get it done before Christmas because there you go.
It's Ross. Last time I saw that man, he was on a bus going towards the curve bar. Lol. There's so many questions about your driving test, Ross. Roscoe, have you done the test? There's another one that I've missed. Clearly.
Now, do you remember we did our probably this time last year, and we did New Year's resolutions, and we all said things that we were going to do, and I'm sure we gave it the massive build up in terms of this is going to be the year. We hyped it up. Ross was thumping his chest. This is the year. Yeah, it's not happened, has it, Ross?
No, it's never going to happen. Just accept it. It's never going to. Ross is never going to be independently mobile. And now you have to wait 4 years, don't you, for a driving test? I understand.
If he does anyone want to get in a car with him? Genuinely, after all these failed tests, I'm a bit worried at the moment.
He's not taking a test. He's
100%. Okay, but I mean, we're talking about the theory here.
Oh yeah, well,
you don't need that, do you? Really?
And that also includes hazard awareness within that part.
I pass that, mate, all the time.
Okay, so that's all right. You just press the thing every time. You're just like, I'm just going to sporadically press the button.
Dog. The car coming out yet. Don't move there.
Good.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Anyway, Ross, it's good to have you with us. We're just in the middle of talking about January. We've just done who's going to leave. And now we find ourselves at the most exciting juncture, which is what the town need to bring in. So I'm going to start with AJ, because obviously AJ is a man I know who had lists of targets and ideas on his phone. AJ, what did Ipswich Town need to bring in January? There we go. There's his list.
There's the list. I really hope nobody can stop that and zoom in, because that'll ruin all the content I've got planned for the end of this year. It's ruined it now. What do they need to do? I'll name you 4 positions, because I said 4 exits. Left back cover, because I don't want Leif Davis to be run into the ground. I know he always wants to play. I know he can throw up at Blackburn and sleep for 20 minutes, as he told us that he did, but he also needs to have some proper support there that isn't Ashley Young, ideally. I'd rather have Ashley Young covering at right back. Some natural cover for Azor Matasiwa, really important, and they're going to feel the effects of it probably quite soon, because he's 1 yellow card away from a 2-match ban. So unless he can drag that out into January and they can sign some natural support from early doors, then they're going to have to do without him. The last time he didn't start a game, Ipswich lost 3-0 at home to Charlton. Not great. Striker is obviously one. George Hurst has missed. No player in the division has missed more big chances than George Hurst so far this season. 11. Even Azon has missed 10. The shot conversion numbers are not great. So ideally, someone that can stick the ball in the goal hole would be nice. And then probably the other one I'd look at would be a creator of some sort. I know I've spoken about pace, and I've kind of gone away from that. It's an option to go down the pacey winger mould, but I think like a creative 10 who can also play on the right, i.e. an Amari Hutchinson style, would be the other one I'd go for.
All right then, Stu. It's time for Christmas list. If you could give me a Christmas list now as to the priorities of what town need to find under the Christmas tree, if it were in January, obviously, what would it be? I mean, strike is always the one that everyone brings up. Would that be top of your Christmas wish list, or other?
I think top targets in terms of priority would be a Matasiwa alternative. Alex has mentioned it. The one game he's missed has been the Charlton one. I think that played a big part in it. There's no one else. This two-band game is coming down the track. If he gets booked against Leicester at the weekend, he misses Millwall and Coventry away over Christmas, and then I think we'll get a real look then as to how our midfield functions without him. Nunez, they tried playing Nunez as the kind of quarterback style deepest midfielder against Charlton, didn't work. Ashley Young ends up in central midfield towards the end of the game last weekend. That's not a viable alternative. And Matasiwa, if you look at it, I'm a big fan of Matasiwa. I think he's most interceptions in the league. I think he's become a vital cog, and really after that baptism of fire at Birmingham really got to sort of grips with the intensity of the league. But he has faded a little bit in the last few weeks, and maybe that's just a little bit of fatigue kicking in for him. If you look at his record, he's not been a kind of 40+ games a season man throughout his entire career. Thank you for all these distractions coming in. Lovely stuff. Let's talk about Ross's wrench a bit more. So yeah, a Matasiwa alternative is definitely high on the priorities for me.
Yeah.
Where it then gets a bit complicated is that we've spent the whole first half of the season saying we're not into rotation and it's time to find a settled side, and McKenna's tied himself up in knots by having almost too many players all of a level, and you're trying to keep everybody happy. If you start adding more into the mix on top of that, you trim away sort of players that we've mentioned, Baggett, Humphreys, etc., who haven't really been part of the conversation, and then you add in players that are, it's going to become virtually impossible to kind of pick teams from that. So I think if you are looking to do that, then you have probably got to start making some tough decisions in terms of, loaning out a McAteer, for example, or cutting short a loan spell of a Kayusta or an Azon. There's certainly other areas of the team that are not functioning at the moment. Taylor's come in and he's done fine. He's helped solidify the team a little bit, but I still think that's an area that's, could be upgraded. Striker. Hurst hasn't been the striker that I thought he would be this season. Azon has missed chances. That clearly is an area with the chances that have been missed that Ipswich could upgrade on. But if you bring another one in, where does that leave you? If you recall Chaplin, you've then got two former Golden Boot winners in Schmodix and Akpom, Nunez ahead of them currently in the 10 slot, and then Chaplin on top of that. Unravel that one, unpick that one for me, if you will. So there's a real balancing act to be had in terms of Ipswich being tempted to go and do stuff, being able to do it, making an argument that they should, but where does that leave you in terms of the balance of the squad and the harmony of the squad? I don't know.
Well, Colin agrees, Stu. I hope that wasn't
on all of it.
Totally agrees, Stu. He disagrees with whatever you say. And I didn't bring this up while you were talking. The good doctor mentioning Rossi's wrench was not on my bingo ticket. So there we go. Right then, friends, that's January discussed. Clearly, you're going to have thoughts on that, and I'd imagine you're about to want to ask questions about it as well. We now enter the mailbag phase of the show. So if you have questions for us, send them in now. We need, of course, a mailbag jingle. Mailbag. It's time for Alex, Stu, Ross, and me to dip into the Christmas mailbag. Yes, excellent, superb. Right then, we've got a question that came in via email, and I was so impressed that he'd take the time to email that I thought we'd take it first just to get the ball rolling. It is from Stuart Clark. He's asked two. We're going to start with one and then finish with the second one. Football related, he says, we've been told over the past couple of years that our newly recruited players are an upgrade in what we had in the Championship last time around. In my opinion, the only upgrades are as follows. Furlong is better than Clark. O'Shea is better than Wolfie. Philogene and Clark are better than Broadhead. And Agelli is potentially better than Burns. Brackets, time will tell. AJ, do you agree with that? He has obviously missed out there I guess the most contentious and potentially biggest argument, which would be Azor and Morsey.
Don't get me drawn into that, mate.
Well, I'm trying to get you drawn into it.
No. I think that the biggest thing is that they were a better team because they played together for longer, because they all knew each other, and they're all this band of brothers. And this group probably are a better group of individuals, I'd say. That's how it feels to me at the moment. I mean, when you go and you did a comparison of this, didn't you? Try to pick the combined 11.
Yeah.
So you had a little look at that one. And when I kind of go through it in my head, of course, there's some difficult ones to look at. Some of them, I think, they're very good individual players, but they haven't gelled with the teammates around them in the same way. You could definitely look in kind of the midfield with Matasiwa, Kipre and Burgess and things like that. Those kind of comparisons. Jacob Greaves. The attacking unit is a big one. Of course, people always think highly of Nathan Broadhead, for example, and understandably so, given what he's achieved in an Ipswich shirt. I think the fact that a lot of these players have gone out and not done very well elsewhere speaks volumes. The fact that Chaplin's struggling at Portsmouth, Broadhead's not really set the world alight at Wrexham. Sam Morsey currently doesn't have a club. Wolfie was last seen getting bullied by Kiefer Moore. Cameron Burgess was last seen by Ipswich fans scoring 2 own goals, and his Swansea side are right at the bottom of the division. He's been posting public apologies. They were really good in an Ipswich Kieran McKenna system, but now they've kind of gone elsewhere. Maybe that's an indication of what they are kind of as individuals outside of that team, whereas this group feels like really talented individuals that just aren't seeming to click in a team yet. So that's how I see it.
And the argument to that, and this feeds back into the glass half full side of things, and where I kind of maybe tip towards the more of the optimism, is that it's easy to forget that team, and we're talking about that was a team that became more than the sum of its parts. And now we've got a collection of individuals that are probably underperforming to their collective value. But that Band of Brothers team took a while to gel. And we talked about this in the last podcast. Kieran McKenna, when in the big Demolition Man summer, if you remember, how long did it take for him to get that first win? Lincoln, before Mark Ashton was running wildly along the touchline there out of relief when that was however many games in, approaching double digits. So there was a bit of a rough time there to start with. Paul Cook eventually loses his job because of that. Kieran McKenna then can't fully get a tune out of them for 6 months, and they miss out on the playoffs in League One. Even as deep as Valentine's Day in the promotion season, 0-0 at Bristol Rovers, and we're all picking it to absolute pieces and having a lot of the same conversations that we're having now about too ponderous, too obvious in possession, too predictable. Does there need to be a plan B? Is there enough character, etc., etc.? And it was only from there, really, that they grew and grew and grew and became the force that they were. Even then, it's easy to forget that midway through the Championship promotion season, they got 1 win in 9 over that winter period. It wasn't all sunshine and roses along the way. That team had to grow and had to go through some negative experiences to become the one that they became. And the hope, and it is just blind hope at the moment, is that Kieran McKenna can do it again with this group of players. Time will tell, won't it?
Content idea, story around that comparison going forward. Look out for that over the Christmas period, friends.
Alan Partridge into dictaphone.
Exactly. Yeah, there's the meme. Right then, Rossi, your time to shine. Dino wants to know favourite veg of your Christmas dinner.
Ooh, I like a parsnip. You know.
Do you?
Parsnip and carrot. Carrot solid. So, wow, that's my mate. You asked me what's my favourite.
Well, absolutely, mate. Whatever floats your Christmas dinner boat, go for it. Unless it's obviously Yorkshire puddings. AJ, what's your favourite veg on your Christmas dinner? When Mrs. Jones puts down the Christmas dinner in front of you, because I assume you have absolutely no part in cooking any of it, or indeed.
God, can you imagine? What a disaster that would be.
What do you say, mother? Can I have more of this vegetable?
In general, not a huge fan, but it's Christmas, so you have to say sprouts legally.
Sprouts are amazing. They're so underrated. If you present them in the traditional way, which is just boiled, then they're not great. But if you chop them up and put a little bit of pancetta through them, fry it in a pan, absolutely delicious, perfect. Also,
did you know that he does food reviews?
Yeah, it also makes a great addition to the bubble and squeak on Boxing Day morning. All the leftovers, get them all in a pan, fry them all up. Amazing. Stu, I already know you like Brussels sprouts with vinegar. Would they be your favourite veg on your Christmas dinner?
Yeah, we have them quite regularly on our Sunday roast throughout the year, and then regularly have bubble and squeak as a follow up the following day. So yeah, sprouts for me. I'm assuming roast potatoes are just kind of taken as a given, right?
I mean, they qualify. A stodgy carb. I mean, Colin actually said roast potatoes here. Kean's on my.
That's the correct answer.
My sprout train, fried sprouts with a bit of bacon. Correct. Let's have a look at another question, shall we? Here's a good one for you, Stu. Rodney Marshall wants to know: is there a single Premier League quality player in our squad? Whew, dear, oh dear, Rodney.
Yes, I think Dara O'Shea has proven to be Premier League standard, and I know he's had what's he had now? 3 relegations.
Yeah.
So that would speak against that argument, but the fact that he's always had interest from the Premier League after that, I thought he was one of Ipswich's more consistent players last year. I think he's getting to grips with the captaincy now and is starting to show his ability at this level. So I would have no qualms with him being in a Premier League team for Ipswich next season. He could have gone back there in the summer before he signed his new contract. Any more on that debate? Is there anyone you'd make an argument for passionately at this moment in time?
Passionately, not. I don't think. The two that would stand out to me as players I could certainly see making that step up. One is Azor, who I think at the start of the season we were all saying he looks ready-made for the Premier League. Once he kind of got the rust of that Birmingham debut out of the way, I can definitely see him adapting really well to the Prem. And I'm going to throw in Jaden Philogene, and I know that will have a few winces in there because of the fact that last season in the Premier League he offered absolutely zilch, but I think all of the factors were against him. He'd hardly kicked the ball at Villa, apart from that one Champions League game against Bayern. So many limited minutes in that spell that he had there. Comes in January. Oh, let's play him on the left. Wait, no, Wes Burns has injured himself, so you're going to have to play on the right, mate. Sorry. Misses the latter stages of the season through injury himself. Coming into next season, let's say, hypothetically, that Town go and get promoted, and he's come off the back of a really good championship campaign, and he gets a full Premier League season under his belt. I think that Jaden Philogene could kick on and prove to be a Premier League level player.
Okay, we've got some more info here from Mexico. Our Mexican correspondent Ben Chaplin says, fun fact, parsnips can be found in specialist markets in Mexico, coming at £2 to £3 per parsnip.
Wow.
Chappers, I need you to send me some recommendations for Playa del Carmen, which is where I'll be in early 2026, please.
Mark, could I interject? Because with Ben's made a couple of comments today. He texted both myself and Ross before we went on today. For those that don't know, I think Ben's in charge of the North American Supporters Club. And he's asked me to do a little shout out. They've got a 2026 holiday raffle on the go at the moment, which gives you the chance to win some Ipswich Town goodies. There's a signed shirt by the men's team and an original 97-98 Ipswich home shirt signed by Matt Holland. Loads of other stuff in there as well. You can buy various amounts of tickets for $10, $40, $100 if you want. They're going to put all the proceeds of that into player sponsorship at the club. So your money basically will be going to the football club in a way, and it gives you a chance to win some prizes. So go and look up the North American Supporters Club and see if you want to enter into that.
Fair enough. Let's do a few more questions. 5 more minutes on Mailbag. So if you do have questions, get them in now or forever hold your peace. I'm going to start this one from the Jubster. Ross, with you. Kings, in the last week, we reached 4 years of McKenna. What's his legacy to date for each of you? Ross, when you think of Kieran McKenna and the 4 years he's been at this club, what would you say is his legacy for you?
Getting us to the Premier League. I know.
It's pretty good. That's a pretty strong legacy.
Yeah. Not that guy. Not many managers have been able to do that.
First time in a generation. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one that sticks out. Just back-to-back promotions, good football, and just these big coats. When it's winter time, he's got that big puffer jacket, isn't he?
Sandbanks. Do you know how much those are, by the way?
I can imagine it's a lot of money.
Yeah, you're looking at £600 each at least for a Sandbanks coat. He's got 2 of them, as far as I'm aware. He's on a bit of cash, and he's wedged up. He can afford them. Stu, other than the coats and getting down to the Premier League, what would you say is his legacy?
Back-to-back promotions. It's as simple as that, isn't it? At the moment, that is his legacy. Whether it becomes more than that, time will tell. But I think it boils down to that, doesn't it? And also carrying himself in a way befitting of an Ipswich Town manager. I think I sort of said that when he joined, it just felt like there was something intangibly Ipswich about him. He's, from the same kind of first job in his 30s, in the same way that, a Ramsey and Robson were of the past, and Burley. It just felt like he fits the culture and history of the football club. And I think the way he's held himself is also something to be thankful of and grateful of, and admired as well.
Yeah, great point, Stu. I think overall the legacy surely has to be that he's the manager that finally brought the good times back to Ipswich Town. Times that we never thought at some point, in the dim and distant past, languishing in League One, getting relegated, all that kind of stuff, we never thought we'd see again. And yet he brought them back and took them straight into the Premier League. So I would say that's his legacy. AJ, Dino wants to know, if we don't go up this season, what in your opinion will happen to McKenna?
Depends how they don't go up. I think we had this discussion before. Like, what would it take for the owners to maybe pull the trigger and look at going down a different path? Obviously, it'll be a huge disappointment if they don't go up. If they say finish third, missed out on the top 2 by a couple of points, and lost to Southampton in the playoff final, a la Leeds of a couple of seasons ago, then you can very easily make a case of saying, you know what, fair enough, let's try and build and go again. And we've seen enough from this season. If they sneak in 6th, as I know was one of the predictions at the start on one of the comments that say they do that, then there's a different conversation to be had. If they had a drop off and finished in mid-table, then that's a totally different conversation as well. So it all really depends. And again, it comes back to the fact that we're so unsure about the way this season's going to swing. If they don't go up, there's every chance he stays. You've also got to factor in what he wants to do as well, because even when things are going badly, he seems to have every opportunity all the time and linked with every single job under the sun, which I know we love covering as well. So but there's so many factors that come into it. But the biggest one for me is if they do miss out, how does it happen?
Okay, right. I'm going to bring Mailbag to an end now because Stu has got to be away by 8:30. He's got to get to the gym. He's already taken his pre-workout, and once you've taken that, you need to get to the gym. Otherwise, you just explode.
Not gym. I'm running around goals tonight in a bit.
That's all the magic, Stu. I was extending your brand as a gym bunny. Anyway, this is from Stuart Clark. Final Mailbag thought: the 4 main parts in the school nativity being cast. The Kings have all but auditioned. This is how I see it. Innkeeper, me, Mark Heath. Likes animals, correct. Like to have a small holding, love to. Doesn't like children, even more correct. Likely to direct a heavily pregnant woman to a stable. Probably fair. Yeah. Don't bring those kids around me, Mary. Even if it is the son of God, he's still annoying. Mary and Joseph, AJ and Ross. AJ to play Mary on account of less substantial facial hair. So you, Ross, would be the humble carpenter. And the baby Jesus, Stu, no hair and cherubic looks. You happy with that? Literally our Lord and Savior, Stu. How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about being the baby Jesus?
Yeah.
By virtue of being
Having
follically challenged.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I went for a pre-show haircut, which now I've realised I'm actually just been sat with a hat on the whole time. And in terms of follicular challenge, Stu, would you reach a certain age as a man, you go for a haircut and they start to shave your ears as well. And it's terribly underwhelming, deflating, demotivating when you realise you've got to that age. I would say the obvious, obviously we've got baby Jesus, but surely if we fast forward in the Jesus timeline, there's only one man who can play Jesus as a 30-year-old. Isn't there, Ross? I mean, you wouldn't need any help to sort your sink out if you were, in fact, the Son of God.
Don't have to drive because I can just float and walk on water.
Walk on water, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That would save on planes for the pre-season trips, wouldn't it?
I would.
Oh, Ross is just walking across the channel again. Right then, where are we? Sheffield Wednesday. Let's talk about Sheffield Wednesday, shall we? Thanks for all your questions, and do still keep sending in your thoughts, friends, because we have a game to talk about this weekend. It's a game against #Crisis Club Sheffield Wednesday. AJ, you've been writing stuff today because I think I asked you at the end of the podcast on Monday, should we be concerned that they're likely to come up against their old nemesis, the low block? A team is not going to play expansive football and is going to come and just try and nick something. How are you feeling about this game, then? I already know what your prediction is because you've done a prediction piece looking at the 5 games coming up. But is this one that should worry you, does worry you? Are you concerned in any way?
Does it worry me? Yes. I think it is a banana skin because it's very easy to take Sheffield Wednesday and not take them seriously, essentially, when although they've been in pretty horrendous form, they're largely quite competitive in games. And I know that isn't the case all the time. Like they played Derby on Monday and they had 3 shots, 1 on target, lost that game 3-0. That was in their own stadium. But they have shown that they're capable. On the flip side, should we be worried? In theory, no, because they're winless in 14. They lose quite regularly. It feels like they seem to battle very hard in games and then throw things away quite often late on. It's a squad made up of kind of some names where you look at them and say, "Oh, I remember you from somewhere." Like Dom Iorfa, do you remember him from Town? Of course. There's some others in there. Jamal Lowe, for example. They've got Liam Cooper at the back. They've got Max Lowe as well. And then they've kind of got a couple of European-y signings in there and a core group of youngsters as well. Because
Barry Bannon, still at the heart.
Barry Bannon, of course, who is at 36. He's just turned 36. 3 goals, 2 assists, by the way. So not a bad return. In theory, given everything, like the big gap in squad values, given everything that's gone on the pitch and off the pitch at Sheffield Wednesday, they're losing 2 key players in that kind of right wing back role to AFCON. The best player so far this season has been a 19-year-old on loan from Man United who plays left wing back. Given everything, this should be a really good game for Ipswich to bounce back from that Leicester defeat. But there are worries in terms of the fact that it's going to be a 3-5-2 from Sheffield Wednesday. It will be wing-backs that sit deep. It will be a midfield 3. It will be direct play to 2 strikers, one of them in Kadamata, who's a bit of a target man. A lot of aspects that Town don't deal well with. And I've done a piece on this that you can go read that went out this afternoon. I need to see if I can remember the stat on the top of my head. I think they played 8 games against back 3s or back 5s, however you want to see it. And they've won 1. So it's not something they've been overly good with this season.
Oh, it's going to be an awful game, isn't it? Stu, rotation. Who do you reckon will play in this one? Because clearly they're coming off a loss. If ever you're going to change a team, it would be after a defeat. Full week on the training field. What would you expect?
Minimal changes, I think. I think it will probably be. My prediction is probably Sindra, if he's recovered from his illness, which you'd imagine he probably will be after a week, back in for Jack Clark on the right. I don't think we'll see that experiment too many more times this season. And that will probably be that. That would be the same team that started the 3-0 against Coventry. Probably would have been unchanged for Stoke were it not for Hurst being suspended. And it probably would have been unchanged again were it not for Sindra being ill. So it feels like we're getting towards a core of a team emerging now. I know there's a debate about whether Azor should be risked being one booking away from a 2-game ban and the 2 away games that are coming up against Millwall and Coventry. For me, for the reasons Alex has outlined, Sheffield Wednesday are not a team to be underestimated. This is not a game to be underestimated. The main thing is get a win in front of your own home fans, keep that feel-good factor building at Portman Road, and then worry about what comes next.
Yeah, Alex has done a big bit about the Matasiwa debate. I think, as you all probably agree, I'd be staggered if he does rest him. We've been here, of course, obviously with Morsey before. I can't see him dipping out just to avoid a booking. That would be quite against what McKenna does, I think. Rossi, let's start with predictions then, because I want to get the final question in before Stu has to shoot off to run around with his mates. What would you say in terms of predictions? Who is actually top of the league? Is it still AJ?
Let me quickly update because obviously none of us got Leicester right.
Oh no! Can you say quickly?
No, it won't take me too long. Because no one got any points for Leicester. Because
so it should be it's as you were then, isn't it?
Yes, so AJ top.
Yeah,
with 22 points. Stu second with 20 points. Efi with 19 points. On bottom with 18, but
it's very close. So close, like the championship itself. Give us your prediction then, Ross. Score and first goal scorer, please.
I'm not gonna do 6-0 because that was obviously the last time we played Sheffield Wednesday. That would be very nice indeed. I want to go 2-0, solid win. There will be frustration, but we'll get the win. And George Hurst to score first against his former club. Okay,
Ian Warbank says Stu's goals team could beat Sheffield Wednesday. Anything less than 3 points and the player should be made to train all Christmas Day. Old school. We've got Rodney Marshall here saying 5-0 Hurst. Wow. I already know Alex's, so I'll keep that to last. Stu, what are you saying?
I've parked the potential banana skin stuff to one side because ultimately I think with a week to prepare for this one, Ipswich should be fine. I think they'll have more than enough through starters and subs. I think there might be a period in the game where everyone gets a little bit nervy and tentative, but ultimately it'll be comfortable. I've gone for 3-1.
And who's going to score first?
I cannot look beyond that man, Jayden Philogene. 7 goals, all at Portman Road this season, and I think Alex has touched upon it. Some players missing on the right side for them at the moment. I think that Philogene-Davis combination could cause a bit of havoc this weekend.
Are you writing these down, Ross? Is that what you're doing? Yeah. Okay. So we've got 3. You say 3-1?
Yeah.
Stewie. 3-1 Jayden Philogene. I'll go I'm going to say 2-0, but Ross has got that. And is it going to be 1-0? Oh, I can see it being a dull 1-0, but I don't want that to be the case. So I'll say 3-0 Town. And I will say I'll say Sindra to score first. Because I'm sure he'll come back into the side. AJ, what's your prediction? I already know it, of course, and it's quite positive.
Yeah, it is, and it's kind of done because with a week to prepare and what I think is their strongest team, in theory, at home, I think there's every chance this is going to get clipped up and used. I think Town could really deliver a hammering here, honestly. I've not gone full-blown big bollocks on anything huge, but I've ended up with a 4-0 Ipswich win. I do just think that as well, one of the big factors is they don't have any squad depth, Sheffield Wednesday. I think the starting lineup's good enough to be competitive, but this is a tired old team with injuries, with no new signings, with youngsters on the bench. And I think that when you get into the latter stages and they're bringing on their youngsters, and Town can bring on Jack Clark and Azon and players like that, I think that could also rack it up a little bit more. So 4-0. The left-sided argument was going to be my bit to go with there. I need to keep a gap on Stu, so I'm not going to say Jaden Philogene. I'm going to say Leif Davis.
Whoa. Feels like if Leif Davis is the first goal scorer, you should get more points.
I agree, but I don't know how we do that
at this point in the season. I'm just saying, it does feel like that.
I think from next season, if you pick a defender to score first and they do score first, you should get an extra point.
Yeah, we should maybe consider that. Let's get through this season first, because of course last season we didn't even get to the end of that. Rossi, what have we got then? We've all got wins. AJ 4-0. Leif Davis, Stu 3-1. Jaden Philogene, me 3-0, Sindre Vale Ageli, and you were 2-0. And who did just remind me?
George Hurst.
George Hurst, absolutely. Right then, Stu, I know you've got to go shortly, so I'm going to start with you. At the start of the season, pre-season preview podcast, final question for you before we head off. We all predicted where Town would finish in the league. And I think we all said either first or second. Now, we're almost halfway through the season. Has your opinion changed? And if so, where now do you think Town are going to finish?
I think I landed on second in the end, and I toyed with champions, but my reasoning was finish second in both promotion seasons. I couldn't quite bring myself to say first, so that's why I ended up on second. Has my opinion changed? Yes, I think it has to be dialed down a little bit from all the discussions that we've been having about the team having not fully come together or convinced thus far. Sorry, my wife's just decided to walk in midway through there.
She's not been on the piss again, has she?
No, she just came in and said, just reminding me I've got football in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all good. Look, the underlying stats behind Ipswich are really good. They're second top goal scorers in the league. They've got the joint second meanest defence. If you look at XG for and XG against, they're right up there. You can put a positive spin on the kind of lots of missed chances that eventually those will start going in, and Ipswich will find another second gear. But ultimately, the eye test doesn't back any of it up, does it? In terms of what we've seen consistently for a while, yet to sort of convince us. So I've got no concerns at all about Ipswich not finishing in the top 6, but of course the optimism around top 2 has faded somewhat. I've landed on third.
Okay. Stu, I feel like you might be in trouble now. So if you do want to make your way out, that's fine. We've got your answer.
No, I'm good.
Excellent. Watson defies the Iron Fist. Mark Jubb says, is this the season we finally get to visit the new Wembley? Now, of course, it could well be. And what better way to go up, if indeed they are going to go up, than winning at Wembley in the playoff final? Rossi, what do you reckon?
I think they may finish where they're currently standing. Fifth at the table. Yeah. Ooh. And they'll probably lose in the playoff semi-finals. Then we'll get 4 years of that.
Excellent. Fifth. Lovely stuff. AJ, can you give us a bit more of a positive outlook, do you think?
Yeah, a little bit. I will be doing a revised 1 to 24, hopefully before New Year. But I'll give a spoiler away as to where I have Ipswich. I do, like Stu, have Ipswich in third. I think they will improve quite a lot towards the end of the season, but I do wonder and worry as to whether it might be quite a big gap that they're chasing by that point. Weirdly, I think one of the big factors I've got in Town not getting top 2, hear me out, is Wolverhampton Wanderers. And there's all the dominoes falling here. I can see your eyes going, Mark. And that's because they took Rob Edwards as their manager. And Middlesbrough went and appointed Kim Hellberg, who I think is really good. He's really highly rated. They look on fire at the moment. I think that they're going to get some good backing in January. And I think he's significantly better than Rob Edwards. And I think that might be something that could push Borough over the edge with a few attacking reinforcements. So, yeah, I have Ipswich in third. And a spoiler alert on that 1-24 that I've written out already. It's subject to change. As things stand, I would have them meeting Millwall in the playoff semi-final.
AJ Derby.
Yeah.
Divided loyalties, etc. Sick burn there. Sick burn for Rob Edwards, by the way, AJ. Well played.
He's not great.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to say third as well. I think I said champions originally, but clearly I feel like that's going to get away. I do feel like Town are going to be all right. I think they're going to be top 6 minimum. I can see them improving, like I said earlier this week, after January, and maybe putting the run together towards the end of the season. Will it be enough? Will the gap be too much then? Who knows? I think probably yes. So I will say third. And then we have the playoffs to look forward to. So me, Stewie and AJ saying third, Rossi saying fifth.
Not just the playoffs, Mark, the lottery of the playoffs.
Sorry, it's the lottery of the playoffs, Of course, Stu. Give it the full title. Most important question tonight has just been asked by the Great Wall. Has Mark watched Die Hard yet? I haven't yet, Ian. Die Hard is obviously the best Christmas movie. I will not entertain any questions or indeed suggestions. It's not a Christmas movie. But I watch that when I'm wrapping my presents, Ian, which usually is done in a frenzied manner late on Christmas Eve in the best traditions of a pathetic man. Ben Chaplin says, I still think second. I hope so.
I wouldn't completely rule. I did for a split second.
Oh, yeah.
When you asked me, I was like, I might say second just to ramp it up for the pod a little bit. It's 8 points, which I think 13 is a chunky number to Coventry.
Yeah.
But 8 is, what's that? It's 3 results that you've got to turn. Maybe a bit more if it's draws compared to wins. But who knows? Borough looking good at the moment, but there's still a long way to go at the moment. And Ipswich look a long way off being able to put together a long winning run. But we've got the January transfer window to come yet, and a lot can change over this winter period with injuries and things kicking in. So I'm not completely ruling out second still at the moment. And I still feel pretty good, certainly about sort of top end of the playoffs at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's hope if it is indeed the playoffs, we get another kind of Wembley moment with Town. Rossi, as we look to end this podcast, I want to throw to something you've put out today. And if you're a subscriber, hopefully you've already watched it. If not, it's really good. So do you want to talk a little bit about it, Rossi, and then we'll play the trailer, the cinematic trailer for your mini documentary?
Yeah, I should have got maybe someone to do a voiceover, maybe,
In a world.
Yeah. yeah. 15 years ago in
when there was
Suffolk.
Snow all over the pitch. Yeah. One man defied the referee. That man, Roy Keane.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Do you know the guy who does those voices, by the way? His name is Red Pepper. That's his actual name. Red Pepper. Look it up.
Nice.
Edutainment. That's what we're all about. Sorry, Ross.
But no, yes. The infamous Snow game against Leicester City was 15 years ago today at Portman Road. And when we hit certain milestone landmarks, always like to do something big for it. So I had the idea of maybe catching up with a few players, fans who were in the stands. And that's produced a 20-minute little mini documentary talking about stories about the game, from getting to the grounds to the game itself and even afterwards. Shout out to David Norris, who was captain on the night, who appears, as well as Shane O'Connor, who had probably his best game of his footballing career. He even mentioned that on the video, and also Tommy Smith, who of course was at the back. And there's some really good stories, and also fans, Peachy Bloomers, who do a lot of game day stuff for me, and also Matt Cusborne as well, who shared stories of getting to the ground. And even Bloomers mentioned, little sneak peek, his cousin was at the game with him, and she's never been to another game since. So nice little story to add to it. But yeah,
absolutely. And another question as you watch this trailer: is Bloomers being held captive? I thought when I saw the room that he's in. Let's watch the trailer, shall we?
The weather was extreme, to say the least. And to be quite honest, I don't think any of us thought the game would be on.
I remember going to my seat, and that's when the snow started. I thought, oh, this is nice. And then before you knew it, as the players were coming out, the pitch was covered. And it was like, okay, so how's this game going to go then?
Myself, never witnessed anything like that going to a game before. So yeah, it'll always stick in the mind, you know, because it's a one-off really. So.
That's probably my best moment, where I get to sell Kyle out and then, you know, win the ball back and square it, and then you hear the commentator, you know, saying my name, O'Connor wins it back and squares. You know, it's like a childhood thing. You know, it's just it's the dream you have, isn't it? So
once the game goes ahead and the start we made, if you get to half-time 0-0, you can call it off fine. Everyone probably just goes, you know what, okay, it's not right, it's not great. But because we were so desperate for the winner, we were 3-0 up at half-time, then the referee's in a really difficult position there.
I don't think we'll ever see a game like that again, because it just won't take place. It will have been abandoned way long since.
Bloomers, blink twice if you're in trouble. I'll come and sort you out, mate. I'll save you. The other observation from that is David Norris is aging ridiculously well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
good looking bastard. Jesus. Anyway, Rossi, there's an excellent documentary, only available to subscribers. Go and watch it. There are stories there I've never heard before. Really nice one about Shane O'Connor, or from Shane O'Connor, about Roy Keane and his relationship with him and that particular game. And how much it meant to him. So go and watch it if you haven't. Stu, I know you've got to head off. Have you got any messages for the KOA Army ahead of Christmas?
Have a great Christmas, one and all. Thank you for following everything we do. Thank you especially to all those that have subscribed as well. And hopefully we can bring you a bit more positivity from the games, from the transfer window in the weeks ahead.
Absolutely. Well said, Stu. AJ, anything from you before we wrap up?
I was gonna try and throw in the Christmas movie debate, but I feel like we'd be here all night, because I know how big you are on Die Hard. I spoke to you last night about that one. You forgot about it though, because you were so big on Muppets Christmas Carol.
Yeah, that's also classic. Yeah,
it's really good, isn't it? So yes, that will be my last point. Everyone, go and watch Muppets Christmas Carol.
Very good, Michael. I would say Michael Caine's best film, actually. Controversially. Rossi, what would you say ahead of?
Just Merry Christmas, one and all. Enjoy the festive food and drink, and yeah, have a good time. And yeah, hopefully 2026 is a good year for Ipswich Town.
Enjoy it, but enjoy it by being disciplined. Isn't that right, Stu? Get your protein in. Healthy protein, lean protein. Turkey's very good for you. Anyway, friends, just a reminder to support our sponsors. I have them here. This is Stardust Spirits. This is their festive sample, a pack of which I've just poured myself while I've been watching that. The festive spice rum liqueur, which I'm going to drink now live. That's jolly decent, actually. It's very, very festive. I love a bit of rum as well. Warms the cockles. So use the code KOA at stardustspirits.co.uk for 20% off all that excellent clover. And also, friends, Molecular UK, Rossi's favourite word to say, Molecular. I've got a couple of their products here. These are two of my favourites. This is the acid-free wheel cleaner. If you're alloy proud, that works excellently. And this is my particular favourite, mainly because of the name. It's called Banana Dine, which is dashboard and vinyl dressing. So basically that's for shining up your interior. And again, my interior gets pretty ropey because I have a dog. So it's like I've shaved a hound in the car. That's useful for getting rid of it. So you can use the code KOA10 at molecular-uk.com. I haven't remembered if it is .com or .co.uk. .com for that one, to get 10% off all their excellent products. Thank you very much for joining us shoot through a few of these messages. Mark Jubb, Merry Christmas, everyone. 3 points on Saturday, please. Chapper says, cheers to the Four Kings. Merry Christmas and to all the KOA Army. Ali Cat, thanks, gents. Love you all. Merry Christmas, Upper Town. The Great Wall. Have a great Christmas, gentlemen. Thank you for another great year of entertainment. Thank you, friends, for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for engaging with everything we've done this year. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And as we approach the big day itself, all that's left for me to say is have a very, very merry and happy Christmas and a wonderful 2026. Cheers to you all. And we'll be back on Monday, hopefully, to talk about a huge Ipswich Town win at Portman Road. Thanks for joining us, friends, and good night.